Good afternoon. I'm here with Victoria Ramey, who is planning to be a candidate for Columbus City Council in 2019. And we're going to discuss some of the issues that are dear to her heart. One, she would like to work towards keeping all rec centers open to 10 for basketball and other sports activities to help keep the children off the street, as well as finding a safe way for their returns home late at night. Um, okay.
I feel that no rec centers should network with some sort of transportation for children to get home after 10 p.m. if the parent is not able to pick the child up. I know there's local churches and other organizations that have transportation that the rec centers could network with. That's one thing that I will push for, is for things like that to be done. Because I feel that if children are off the street at those hours and have more sporting activities and things like that, and even after school programs that have job training and things like that for kids 16, 17 years old, would help with there not being so many kids on the street late at night, for there to be so much crime towards younger community.
How long have you lived in Columbus, Victoria?
I was born and raised on the south side of Columbus in the Southfield area. I attended Marion Franklin High School and Berry Middle School. I'm 34 years old, and I've seen a lot of things on the south side over my 34 years that I feel aren't right, and haven't had the adequate services for people in my area.
Another thing that is a concern to Victoria is police training. She believes that officers should receive better training so accidental deaths do not occur, as well as cutting down on the homicides. She does not believe the city has taken the homicides as serious as they should have. 143, I believe it was, up to this year, is ridiculous. And there's no excuse for any city to occur with that many homicides.
I believe that our police force needs to be trained better in disarming a person than shoot to kill. Shoot to kill has always been a thing that I have always fought against, because I always learned back in the 80s, cops were trained to disarm a suspect. They weren't trained to shoot to kill. That training needs to be re-enlisted in the police force. There would be less accidental shootings. And also, I feel that our police force should take compassion classes to know how to handle a person that's been a victim of crime.
How do you feel about them taking some classes on mental health to deal with the mentally ill?
I think that would be a great idea. They should take classes on how to deal with the mentally ill, people that are on drugs. Not just, slamming them to the ground and things like that are not the right way to treat someone.
And that's not acceptable.
No.
And another thing that Victoria has been concerned about and has a lot of compassion about is transitional housing for ex-offenders, especially those with lack of family support. We all know that housing and employment cuts down recidivism, which will also cut down possibly on some of the homicides, since some of them could be ex-offenders that never received any help upon their release.
Right. When people get released from prison, they have no family support, they have no income, they sometimes don't even have clothing besides the clothes on their back that they went in with. Now, a person that's released out, doesn't have any place to go, winds up living on the street. Now, if you put yourself in their shoes, where would you rather be? Back in that prison cell where it's warm, you have a bed to lay in, you can take a shower, or living on the street with people looking at you that you have a stigma of being in prison? They're still people, they're still human beings, they should still be treated like human beings. There needs to be more people with properties that'll rent to ex-offenders, there needs to be more transitional housing for ex-offenders, there needs to be more job training, there needs to be health care that's easier for them to get in contact with. Things like that need to be done to help these people to regain their commitment with society, to be a civilian in society.
Okay, and we know that a big portion of our homeless community are ex-offenders or returning citizens, as we call them. And you were talking about earlier that you would like to work towards more homeless shelters, as well as helping to find permanent housing for the homeless community. Since we have all these abandoned houses and abandoned schools in Columbus, some of them might be able to be turned into a permanent type housing, or at least till they get on their feet. and or more homeless shelters you were talking about earlier.
Right. I see a lot of people that are on the bus with me and things like that that are homeless that they can't get into the overflow shelter because it's too full. There should be another shelter or two or three more that have overflow space, that have beds available for people, people such as women and children, anyone with an illness, anyone with a health problem in general, not just an illness, whether it's a mental health problem, physical health problem, anything. There should not be as many people on the street in Columbus, Ohio as there is. This is ridiculous that there's this many people and not enough help and not enough support for our homeless community.
Yeah, quite a few of the people being released from prison are released homeless because the state no longer has to find permanent housing for them unless if they're on parole. So this is one way we could help them down, which should cut down on some of the crime. You were also talking about working to help people that are renting property that's under a certain income level with
Right.
a rental assistance towards families as well as individuals.
Right. There needs to be more churches, more organizations that are willing to help with rental assistance. If they don't have a job and you have a property, help them get a job. Give them small jobs fixing up that property. Pay them a little bit here and there to get the stuff that they need to fix the property. Pay off, the rent by fixing the property, whatever. People sell houses every day with people living in them. Why can't you have these properties where people can live in them, be off of the street, regaining their self-esteem, regaining an employment history, everything like that, but they're still living in your property and fixing your property up for you. Things like that need to be done. There needs to be more community support with people, and I think a lot of the crime would go down if there was more community support.
Okay. You were also discussing about working with doctors to help with more free clinics that would help a lot of the homeless folks out or the people with low income, such as dentists that can help with
Right.
dentures. Since that's a big problem, there's only one place in Columbus that I know that would help a free clinic. I mean, a dentist that helps with dentures, eye doctors, diabetic screening.
There needs to be more free clinics. There's only, I believe, 3 of them that I know of right now. They're only open certain days a week and certain days of the month. There needs to be one that's available to people 24 hours a day if they need it, that helps with, dental care, vision care for women, men, children, anybody. And coming from a low-income family myself, I don't have, a beautiful smile like everybody does. And a lot of people look at the stigma of having bad teeth as being a drug user or something like that. So I can feel where people are coming from, where they're not wanting to hire people because they have a bad smile and things like that. Things like that need to be addressed. The community needs to address it. The community needs to help people. I mean, there needs to be more free help in the community for families and individuals in general.
Right. Now, Victoria, why should the residents of Columbus vote you in over someone else?
Because I'm the kind of person that I'm actually going to do what I say and work for what I say, and not just sit there and say, okay, I got in here, I don't have to fight for it anymore. The people already voted me in. No, that's not the kind of person I am. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it for the right reasons and do it for the community. A lot of people take jobs like this because they just want to make a name for themselves. I'm not trying to make a name for myself. I'm trying to make a legacy for myself and for my children when I'm gone. To know that their mother did something right and helped the community and helped herself at the same time of doing it.
And Victoria, you have gone through some trials in your past, which will make you a stronger person in the long run.
Right.
So, folks, I'm asking for your support in 2019 for my friend Victoria. I believe she is electable, and I would rather elect somebody that does not have the highest education level, but a person that has compassion and concern for their community. So let's work together. Let's get Victoria elected. If you'd like to sit on a committee to help Victoria, you could reach out to me at 614-404-4924, as well as work on fundraising for. There will be quite a bit of cost in here for yard signs, filing fees, anything to be able to win an election. But if people would go by what people stand for, she should have no problem. But you still have to get the name out, and we're asking you to vote for Victoria Ramey for Columbus City Council 2019. Thank you, folks.